Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of Kast. And in this particular episode of Kast, it's going to be more of a PlayStation 4 slash next gen discussion centric Kast, so to speak. Because finally on the 19th of November, I had a chance to get my hands on a PlayStation 4. And here's the thing, I've had the chance to get my hands on a PlayStation 4 before, but the thing is, it was during events like E3 and Gamescom. And I was far too busy with like full schedules of interviews and gaming presentations and all that stuff to bring you guys that specific content that I didn't really had the time to actually take a closer look at the consoles themselves. So it was pretty hectic, as you guys know, from the Conscast that I've done in regarding to those particular events. But on the 19th, I actually had some time to sit down, play some PlayStation 4. And I want to tell you guys all about it, as well as my thoughts on what's going to be happening throughout the next generation. And even PC gaming. I'm even going to talk about some PC gaming throughout this podcast. Why am I calling it a podcast? It's a Conscast. But either way, we're going to be talking about all that stuff. In case you guys want to get like a summary or whatever, it's going to be, for starters, PlayStation 4, a couple of games that I've played, as well as my general feeling towards the console itself. After that, we're going to be doing a little bit of an unboxing of something that I got from the PlayStation 4 event. Then I want to talk a little bit about PC gaming and my opinions on it. Then we're going to talk about the Xbox One. And then I've got some personal stuff that we're going to be talking about as well. So let's get right back into the usual format of the show and start with the shout-out section. So first, I would like to give a very big shout-out to Wade Kennerson for donating to the cause. Thank you very much, Wade Kennerson. It is much appreciated. And also, Michaela Parsons also donated to the cause. So thank you very much. Then I would also like to give a shout out to PlayStation Portugal for continuing to really support me in providing titles and stuff for me to do first impressions on, and also inviting me for these events and whatnot, especially because this episode is kind of about the PlayStation 4 event, so to speak. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. So in regards to the PlayStation 4, the thing is, I realize that a lot of you guys out there already have PlayStation 4s in your homes, or the PlayStation 4 is already available in the US. If you guys happen to be from the US, which is, I believe, the majority of my demographic is actually from the US. So I realize that you guys already have access to PlayStation 4s. A lot of you are already playing it in the comfort of your homes. And there's nothing I can really do about that, because in Europe, it is quite simply still not available to us. So on the 19th, I went to this place in Lisbon, which is interesting that I say this place because they named it The Place. And when I say the place, I mean Playce, The Place. And this is something that they've organized so that media people could actually go there and just play PlayStation 4 whenever they want, because since the console only releases on the 29th, obviously in order to get our first impressions and all that stuff, the only place we can go to play PlayStation 4 is there. The problem with it is that it is actually pretty far away from where I live. It is in one of the older zones of Lisbon, where the streets are really friggin' tiny for you to drive in. There is very small parking spaces. As a matter of fact, when I got out of the event, I was surprised that my car was still there. I was totally expecting that my car was going to be towed out of there, because I parked like in a taxi location or something like that. But apparently it was fine. I didn't even catch a ticket or anything. So a lot of people said, "Oh my God, you're so friggin' lucky to park in that zone of town and not get a ticket." So yeah, so I get to that particular place. There's a whole bunch of people there. Other media outlets in Portugal. Most of them do content in Portuguese, which is always funny for me to just be around those guys, and they're all like talking about their target audience, and I'm like, yeah, I do English content on YouTube. And everybody's all like, that's kind of interesting. But either way, so I went there and I played some Killzone Shadowfall. Killzone Shadowfall is really cool. Oops, sorry. Looks like my coat was like scrapping against the microphone. So I went there. I played some Killzone Shadowfall. It was pretty cool. The thing about Killzone Shadowfall, however, is the only thing we had to play there is seemed like the demo that was played on stage on the first reveal of the PlayStation 4, and I was like, this is really old. But it's like, it's whatever. It was the first time that I actually played Killzone Shadowfall, and I understand by now a lot of people probably finished the game or whatever. I enjoyed it. It was pretty short, so I didn't really get a whole lot of I didn't really get to have a big experience on the game itself. But for what I've played, it was fun. The sound, specifically, the sound was really, really well done. It was the one thing that stroked me above everything else was the sound design. The weapon sounds sounded really cool. The graphics were also amazing. Obviously, that is what is to be expected of that particular title. But yeah, it was pretty fun all around, as far as I could tell. Anyways. Also, it gave me the chance to finally test out the DualShock 4, which I haven't gotten my hands on a DualShock 4 just yet. And also, just, even if I think you can go into a store right now and just buy a DualShock 4, but without having a console to play it, there's really not that much point. So I took a look at the DualShock 4, and the triggers finally feel really nice, because like if you go into, because I mean, if you get the DualShock 3 here, the thing about the DualShock 3 is that these triggers, like R2 and L2, they slip. They slip really easy. You see, like your fingers just slip off them. So the new ones are more like concave. I mean, obviously everybody already knew this, but the new ones are a little bit more concave, and it doesn't actually slip, so they're a lot better. Even though Killzone Shadowfall is actually still configured for using the L1 and R1, which is the shoulder buttons, which I thought it was weird, because I mean, like, well, if you fix the triggers, why wouldn't you just use the triggers? I'm assuming that you can probably change that, but I guess it's one of those things that it is familiar for the PlayStation platform, because most shooters on the PlayStation use the shoulder buttons as triggers, because as triggers for shooting and whatnot, because it's more effective. But then I played some Call of Duty Ghosts, the campaign, because the consoles that they had over there were actually not the final console, so they didn't have any network functionality, and there were other features that just weren't implemented onto those consoles yet, which is actually, to be honest, I'm going to discuss this a little bit further ahead. I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'll talk about this. But anyways, let's just say the consoles that were there were not really final. So I played a bit of the campaign, and I haven't touched Call of Duty campaign, to be honest. I have Call of Duty Ghosts for the PlayStation 3, and the only thing I've done so far is multiplayer. But I've played a bit of the campaign. The graphics looked reasonably good. Nothing mind-blowing. I mean, Killzone looks 1,000 times better, easy. Also, Killzone has a lot more color, as opposed to just the brown and gray palette of what we've come to expect from Call of Duty. Even though obviously the texture was sharper, all that, but Call of Duty was actually already using R2 and L2 as triggers, and it felt good. Like, unlike the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, whenever I get a game that usually comes like a port from Xbox 360 or something that actually uses the lower triggers R2 and L2, it's not very comfortable to shoot. Now, I remember there was a specific game. Which one was it? I think it was Darksiders 2. This was actually on the PC then, but as you guys know, I use my DualShock controller on the PC, and the shooting of the redemption gun, it was actually done with the R2, and that didn't feel good at all, because like my fingers kept slipping off the trigger all the time as I was using the gun to shoot. So it was very frustrating. And with the new controller, that doesn't really happen. Everything works just fine, which is, to be honest, the biggest flaw of the DualShock for me personally. Like, I realize that some people, as a matter of fact, most people in America particularly, seem to prefer the layout of the Xbox 360 controller. To be honest, that's not me. I prefer the layout of the DualShock 3. And I also realize that something that they complain is like, oh, I have big hands, so the Sony controller is so small. And it's like, I don't know, my hands are like reasonably sized. I don't have super big monkey hands or anything like that, gorilla hands even, but I mean, they're reasonably sized. It's not like I have a small hand or anything, but I still prefer it because, I mean, just look at it. Works fine. My hands they just fit fine. So whatever. Either way, something that I've also noticed is the analog sticks are a little bit further apart. So for those people with the big hands problem or whatnot, I guess that maybe you'll feel more comfortable in the DualShock 4 controller. They also had obviously the concave thing here. Like they've got a little bit of a border thing going on so that your fingers don't slip off the analog sticks, which actually happened as well. But I used to fix it by like, see if I can show you guys. I doubt that I can show you. But it's like I would do this, and then it's like I would stick my finger in here if I wanted to like readjust it or whatever. But basically I would use my index finger to readjust every now and then. And I never really had that many problems with slipping off because I just gotten used to using my index finger to readjust whilst still moving. So it's whatever. But yeah, that was great. I didn't really get to test out the touchpad because I decided not to really try out Playroom. I wanted to focus on other stuff that was there. They had the games that they had available for us to check out were Killzone, Call of Duty Ghosts, Playroom, FIFA 14, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Knack, and they had a couple of indie titles. I believe it was Contrast, Resogun, which was the other one? Contrast, Resogun, Octodad, and another title that the name just eludes me at the time. I think it was Blacklight Retribution. They didn't have Warframe, which I just told them, what? You guys don't have Warframe? What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, I know that it's interesting because I haven't even played Warframe in a long time because I've been busy with all these other things. But I've been a big supporter of Warframe, as you guys know, pretty much since the game, since I tested out the game. I've always been a pretty big supporter of Warframe. As a matter of fact, I don't want to brag, but I think that I was one of the reasons why there was a Warframe interview on Polaris, because I actually told the producer, like, look, we need to do something on Warframe because Warframe's amazing and it's going to be on the PS4. And I don't know, I just like Warframe. I like the idea of Warframe. I just haven't had time to play it, which is very, very sad. And I know that Sheldon Carter, if he happens to see this, is going to be very disappointed on me. But I'm sorry, dude. It's just time is extremely limited for me. But yeah, I was really disappointed that they didn't have Warframe over there because I feel that Warframe could really showcase also the console's graphical capabilities, not just Killzone, because Warframe is a really good looking game. So let's talk about other games that I've played. I've played Assassin's Creed 4, and to be honest, I didn't like it all that much. I know, I can't even tell you why, but I just didn't feel like, you know how when you play Killzone and you're like, yeah, this feels like kind of like a next generation title, despite the fact that a lot of people say, oh my God, no, the graphics aren't that amazing in this and that and the other and blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, I feel that when you play Killzone Shadowfall, you can really see that there's a big graphical leap from the PlayStation 3, definitely a huge graphical leap. And you can really see that there was a lot of work done to that. At least that's the way I felt with the little that I've played of Killzone Shadowfall. And when you play Assassin's Creed 4, what I felt is like this isn't really like a generation, a next gen title. It didn't feel like a next gen title. It felt like, a next gen and no, not next gen and a half. It felt like a generation and a half title, so to speak. Like, sure, the graphics are better than what you're going to get on the PlayStation 3, even though I haven't played Assassin's Creed 4 for the PlayStation 3 because Ubisoft said they were going to send me that thing and they never did. But either way, despite that. So I played it. I felt like the game, I'm not sure if it had or didn't have, but it felt like it didn't have anti-aliasing because you could definitely see a lot of jaggies. And sure, when you're going to be playing through the game, you're not really going to be noticing all that stuff, that detail, that you're not really going to be noticing all of that, in such minuscule detail. It's just something that I was paying attention to. And then something that really, really caught my eye and that really upset me. It's like I played the very first starter of the game where they kind of teach you what to do and how to do it. Just tutorial section. And then I just went on and started killing guards because I just wanted to see what happened, because obviously story-wise I know that the game is going to be decent, because all Assassin's Creed games, as far as I'm aware, have a decent story. So I wasn't really that interested in figuring out about the story. I was more looking into detail about animations and whatnot. And here's the thing. When it comes to next gen, I feel that a lot of the stuff is not only going to come from graphics. That is my opinion. And a lot of the stuff shouldn't just come from graphics. It should come from animations. It should come from the way that the details, more details and less emphasis on graphics. And when I'm talking about details, I'm talking specifically in case of animations, because there were some animations in Assassin's Creed Black Flag that I thought, like, man, this doesn't really belong in next generation. And like, for instance, let me try and give you an example. I was just killing stuff using the hidden blade, which, in case for those of you that don't know Assassin's Creed, in which case that's really weird. But either way, hidden blade is basically a weapon that comes out of your wrist like so, and it's a blade, and you jab it onto someone's face and they die. Face, back, ribs, whatever. Depends on whatever the procedural animation happens to be. And what I noticed is that a lot of the times there wasn't really that much attention to detail when it comes to the character actually stabbing people. So we've come to expect in the previous generation that a lot of titles, sometimes you can tell that your hit didn't properly connect with your target, but the animation still played out. And I think we've come to accept that. But that is something that I would like to not see this generation. I realize I'm probably being a little bit nitpicky, but a lot of times I would just like jab my blade into someone, and like you could see that the blade wasn't even touching them, like not even remotely. Like I would stab someone in the head and the blade would be like not really in its head, is where I'm getting at. And this happened a lot of times. A lot of times also doing those takedowns where you can take down 2 guards at once and whatnot. Like the blade wouldn't even be in a relatively relevant position at all. And I guess that kind of really ticked me off. But I'm just being a little bit nitpicky when it comes to that particular title. But I will have impressions on that when I actually get my own PlayStation 4. Then I played some Knack. Knack I thought was really cool. It also had the issue with the whole animations thing. And I know, again, I'm nitpicking it, but several times you would actually hit stuff and not actually hit stuff. But I guess on Knack, it's a little bit more acceptable because with the graphics that Knack brings to the table, which do feel a little bit more worked than, even if more simple, because obviously Assassin's Creed 4 is going for a more realistic look. Knack is going for a more fantasy, cartoony kind of look to it. But Knack is doing a whole lot of cool stuff with particle effects, and it just stroked me as a really fun game. I liked what I've played of it. I didn't play all that much. I played a little bit, but it was fun. It was fun, the little bit I've played of it. The controls were really responsive. It worked fine, and it had something that I really, really liked, which was I was expecting like Knack to be the type of game you would just jump in, mash a couple of buttons, just destroy everything, because that's usually the way those games play out. Not so much. It was actually pretty challenging. I died quite a few times when I was playing Knack, and I was like, cool. I like this, because you would actually have to think about, should I dodge now and do this attack? Should I do that attack? Should I do my special? Should I do this, that, and the other? You actually have to think about stuff, not just randomly mash buttons and go through the whole game. So that was really satisfying. I really liked the fact that the game was actually somewhat challenging and challenged your hand-eye coordination, all that stuff, because a lot of games these days don't do that, as we are all aware. So it was like a breath of fresh air when I noticed that Knack was actually somewhat challenging. And then I played Resogun, which was the last game that I played. And Resogun is a title which I at start, when I first saw when I saw the footage of the title for the very first time on YouTube or whatever, I was like, it looks kind of how should I put it? It looks kind of very simplistic. But here's the thing. Just because a game is simplistic in its nature, it doesn't mean that it's a bad game. And it was really challenging, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing Resogun, and I came out of it like, this is one of one of the games that I probably had the most fun with while I was there. The music is amazing. The sound is also really good. The action is just nonstop all the time. And I also found that if you watched footage of Resogun, like on YouTube or whatever, and you actually play Resogun, you're like, footage looked nothing like this. And that is the fact indeed. Like, what you watch on YouTube or any other website will never be able to do the game justice. I mean, for instance, I actually have a Media Kit CD right here, and I was watching the Resogun footage on that Media Kit. And you guys, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Media Kits usually have like ridiculously high definition videos for you to watch. So I'm watching this on the Media Kit, and I'm like, yeah, it looks like ass on the Media Kit. It totally does. But the thing is, and let me explain to you guys why. That game has so many particle effects that it's almost like it's raining all of the time, raining particles. Like, you destroy an enemy, the enemy explodes, because all these enemies that you are fighting in Resogun, at least as far as I can tell, they're all formed out of little blocks, actual 3D blocks. And when you kill them, they explode and all the blocks fall down, each block individually a particle, so to speak. And that makes it so that there's always a ton of particles on screen, plus the special effects from shooting and all that stuff. There's always a ton of particles on screen. And what happens is when you translate that into video, the video compression from H.264, the algorithm of H.264. Now, some of you are not going to know what I'm talking about, but H.264 is what most people encode in when they're doing videos for the internet. A lot of people just encode in H.264 because it is the best relation that you can have with quality and size. So I personally use H.264, and I believe that probably anyone who isn't using H.264 is most likely doing something wrong. But either way, the compression that you're going to get from using those, from encoding video and whatever, it is going to add artifacts and it is going to blur certain things. Now, in some games, it's more noticeable than others. And in Resogun, it just destroys the game outright. So I think it's always going to be a big problem for people to actually showcase Resogun in a video format, because the game is always going to look a lot better. And sure, this is a factor for anything. Anything that you see online, most likely the game is going to look a lot better when you're actually playing it. But for Resogun, it's that tenfold. Because, like I said, the game has so many particles that the compression just destroys the game's graphics. And there's nothing that you can do unless someone writes a specific encoder to encode video for Resogun, or you capture raw footage. But regardless, whenever it goes onto YouTube, YouTube is going to destroy the quality. That is just the way YouTube works. But the game is a lot of fun. And again, don't pay too much attention to the videos of the game, because they don't do it justice at all. As a matter of fact, I was looking at the game. It's like, apart from the overall feel of it, the game itself looks nothing like what you're watching on a video or whatever. That's just the nature of the game. But yeah, I played all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. The PlayStation 4 looks like it's going to be a really solid platform. Of course, I'm only going to be able to say more things about the PlayStation 4 when I actually go and buy my own, because in case you guys don't know, in Portugal, there isn't that much. I keep telling guys this, but in Portugal, there's not that much investment in gaming. So obviously, the PlayStation guys don't have PlayStation 4s to hand out to all the media outlets. So each media outlet is, I mean, I think that the bigger media outlets are probably going to get one or something. But I mean, if you look at me specifically, I'm like, not only am I a smaller outlet, I'm also doing mostly content in, not mostly, I'm only doing content in English. So it's kind of like, obviously I'm not that much of a good investment, but still they've been, like I said, they've been treating me really good. So I can't really complain. But either way, I wanted to show you guys something that they gave me while I was there. This is basically, usually when you go to an event with PlayStation Portugal, you will get some kind of a media kit in case you are writing stuff, or if you do video content or whatever you do. They give you a media kit so that you have some content, some stuff that you can use in your videos and whatnot. And this time around, they gave me this. Me and all the other outlets that were there. So what does this contain? I'm going to do an unboxing here for you. So let me just take off the lid here. There we go. So the lid, going to be taking that off, placing it here. So first, they gave me this acrylic stand, which actually has my name on it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I get this acrylic stand. This is for the players, PlayStation 4, Rui Modesto. So there's that. Then there's a little bit of a catalog, which kind of shows you guys like images and stuff about the games that are going to be coming out for the PlayStation 4, as well as the games that are already available on the PlayStation 4, as well as stuff like the Vita, the Gaikai technology, all that stuff. They're talking about all that in this particular pamphlet. Talk about the controllers, cameras, peripherals, all that stuff. So it's got this pamphlet on it, and I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. What else we got? And then I see this box. I only opened this when I was at the car after the event, so I wasn't even aware that what this was. But basically, there's this box, which I had no idea what it was, because you guys need to realize I've only been dealing with publishers and press like very recently. I've only began doing that stuff this year, so I never really know what to expect out of events like this. So I look at this box, and it's got, if you guys notice here, you guys notice on the cover there, you got Call of Duty Ghosts, Killzone Shadowfall, Marvel Superheroes, Knack, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, what is this? So I open it, and it's basically review codes for all those titles. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I guess I was thinking about whether or not I was going to buy a PlayStation 4 at launch, because I wasn't going to be able to afford that many titles, because I mean the PlayStation itself it's pretty expensive. And basically they just made that decision for me. I'm definitely going to be getting a PlayStation 4 Day 1 now, so that I can bring you guys all of my opinions on all of these titles as fast as I possibly can. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be among the first people to show you guys these particular games, simply because in the U.S., place that back there, simply because in the U.S., a lot of people are already doing that stuff, but it's fine. Like I said, I never wanted to really just be the first on everything. I just want to make sure that I do the best I possibly can to bring you guys the coverage. So now let's talk a little bit about PC gaming and next generation and all that stuff, because there's been a lot of people that, to be honest, it even seems like they're kind of bitter about the next generation. And that always kind of puzzles me a little bit, because there's a lot of people out there like, oh, next generation is on my computer and all that stuff. And I was like, sure, you can do that if you want. And then there's also people who just flat out hate consoles. And that kind of ticks me off, because I used to be like a PC player only. This is something that maybe some of you guys don't know, but I used to be a PC exclusive player. As a matter of fact, I used to just play World of Warcraft most of the time. That's kind of how I actually got started on YouTube, was with World of Warcraft videos. For those of you that still don't know that, I was doing guides for heroic dungeon runs and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I always kind of miss playing World of Warcraft. What I don't miss is paying $15 a month for the privilege of doing so. That's the thing. I can't really justify the investment. Otherwise, I would probably play Warcraft and on and off every now and then. But yeah, I've started as a PC gamer, and I've always been into PC gaming. I still do a lot of PC gaming content, but it kind of ticks me off that a lot of people hate on the consoles, and I think that a lot of people don't even understand what the advantage to the consoles is. Because a lot of people are privileged enough that they can have whatever they want on their computer. And then they come on forums and on YouTube and stuff. It's like, my computer just wrecks your friggin' consoles, and you goddamn console plebs and PC master race and this and that and the other. I've already explained on a previous video what my opinion is on the whole PC master race thing, and how I think that some people just like don't know how to respect other people's opinions. But the thing is, like I said, I used to be a PC guy only as well. And eventually I started playing on consoles, and playing on consoles kind of grew on me over time until I've come to actually prefer using a controller over a keyboard and mouse. Now, obviously, for shooters, it's always going to be keyboard and mouse is going to own everybody's face simply because keyboard and mouse is a lot more precise than a controller can ever hope to be. But that doesn't mean that controllers aren't a good form for you to play a shooter. It just means that if you're playing with keyboard and mouse, you're going to have more precision. And a lot of people are never really able to actually make that leap back to the controller and say, oh, I can't aim with the controller, whatever. And it's like, look, everybody had troubles aiming with a controller, regardless of who you were, regardless if you started on consoles or not. Everybody who played shooters with a mouse, well, the mouse is just easier. That's the thing. It's easier to aim. It's more precise. It's more of everything. And a lot of people always complain, like, oh, man, and shooters with this thing. And it's like, look, it's challenging. It's a challenge. Why don't you try it out? Why don't you see it as a challenge and see what it gets you? Whatever. It's just, I just feel that some people never really give it a shot. Like, I've played, like you guys have seen, I've even live streamed it recently, Call of Duty Ghosts with a controller. And sure, I sucked at it, but that's because there's like the friggin' thousands of people out there that just do nothing but play Call of Duty. So you can't expect me to go into a Call of Duty arena with a bunch of Call of Duty veterans and start winning. But I got a few kills off. I don't think that my aim was super bad. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. So, I mean, that's the thing. I just feel it's a matter of people actually giving it a chance. But either way, one of the main reasons why I really like consoles over PC, do bear in mind, like I said, I like consoles a lot. And I didn't used to be a console guy. I only started playing consoles in 2010, whatever. But one of the main reasons why I like it is, for starters, you don't have to constantly upgrade your hardware. And people can tell me whatever they want, but the thing is, at the end of the day, when you mash the voices of everyone together on the PC side of things, if you just look at what everyone is saying, everyone is telling you that they can get a really good PC for, like, I don't know, maybe $200 more than you can buy a PlayStation 4. And they're also saying you won't have to upgrade that PC within the next 3 to 4 years or something like that. And you're going to be playing stuff on high on every setting on every game. And it's like, look, it's a fantasy, okay? It's not doable. You have to upgrade your PC. I mean, I've had my PC, I think, for 3 years. And I bought it for considerably more than what a PlayStation 4 is going to cost now. I believe at the time I spent about $1,000 on my computer. And even at the time, it wasn't the best it could possibly be. No way. Top hardware for $1,000? You are kidding yourself. No way. Anyways, in between now and then, I've already had to upgrade my graphics card for a really expensive one. I mean, I think the graphics card I bought alone, I was going to say could pay for the PlayStation 4, but no, that was too much. But it was like 300 something euros for the graphics card that I bought, which is it's actually about $400. But the consoles are actually more expensive in Europe, in case you guys didn't know that, because they do the whole 1-to-1 conversion rate, which is ridiculously unfair. Like it's like you guys pay $400, we pay 400 euros, which is like $100 more or something. Just off the top of my head, you can do the conversions yourself. But it's stuff in Europe is a lot more expensive than it is in the States. But at the end of the day, I had to upgrade my graphics card. I had issues with my power supply. I've had issues with the cooling of my processor. I've had issues with the cooling of my box in general. I've had n amount of issues with the computer. And yet, I have a PlayStation 3 that I bought. It was also 3 years ago. No issues. Never had a goddamn problem with the damn console. Never stopped working. Controllers still work fine. As a matter of fact, the other day, I spilled tea onto one of these controls, like right on top of it. Like a whole bunch of tea just into the controls and all that stuff. Luckily, it wasn't plugged in. So all I had to do is I just turned it upside down and put it like in some place where it wouldn't spill stuff onto the floor. Just put it upside down in there and just waited for a couple of days, working fine. And that's the thing. You see, it's It's hardware that you don't have to constantly upgrade. It's hardware that is cheaper and it is available to a bigger audience than a PC gaming rig. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that. But not everyone can afford to buy a PC gaming rig. That's just the thing. The other thing is you don't have to worry about graphical settings on a console. Like every single time I play a game on the PC, I have to like go into the graphical settings. I have to try and jack it up, see if stuff still works, test the game. And if the game isn't optimized, oh man, you're in for some fucking slideshow action. And this happens on the console as well. Don't get me wrong. Like if a game isn't optimized for the console, you're going to get some slideshow action as well. I mean, just look at Dark Souls Blighttown. Looks like ass. Dark Souls Blighttown just like lags like balls. And like I said, the thing is going through those graphical settings, deciding, should I get 16 times anti-aliasing? Should I get 8 times anti-aliasing? Should I not get anti-aliasing at all? Should I get MSAA? Should I get MSAO, HDSO, and vertical sync? I have to do vertical sync. Like a lot of people maybe don't know this, but every time that I record a game, I have to do vertical sync because otherwise the screen tearing is fucking horrendous. It's terrible. Like when I'm recording with my capture card, unless I turn on vertical sync, like you guys will see screen tearing all over the place. It's going to look like it's a friggin' butcher house just chopping in there. So yeah, that's something that annoys me. And this is coming from someone who has a background in IT. I guess maybe I'm just fed up with dealing with all the PC crap. But yeah, and then you have the operating system, which let's face it, if you're really into gaming, the operating system that you're using is going to be Windows because Macintosh doesn't really support a lot of games. And don't get me wrong, I love the Macintosh operating system. It is also one of the main culprits for me actually doing video editing because they made it so easy in iMovie 06, I think. That is the first time that I actually started doing video editing. And it was so easy to do it on the Mac that's what kind of got me into video editing in the first place. And then I started off with the basics and started learning more and more advanced stuff when it came to video editing, video encoding, and all that stuff. So while I do love the Mac, if you're doing gaming on a PC, you're going to do Windows. And let's face it, Windows 8, it's a piece of shit. I don't care if it's Windows 8, Windows 8.1, it's a piece of shit. Windows 7, sure, works fine. Still not that great of an operating system. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people, oh no, it's super solid, works just fine. Yeah. A lot of people will even tell you, you won't even have to format it. Bullshit. That's a bunch of garbage. If you're actually using your computer, you should definitely format it every other year or so. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much stuff that gets in the way of actually gaming on the PC that it annoys me. I like the feeling of just putting a disc in, playing a game, not worrying about the graphical settings, not worrying about for instance, if you're doing multiplayer, not having to worry that much about, does that player have like a keyboard running like 1,000 fucking macros? You don't know. It happens on the PC quite a lot. People with mechanical keyboards, macros that do all kinds of crazy shit. Mice with 12 buttons on them. That's another thing that I like. The console is a level playing field. Like, you got a controller, usually your enemy has a controller. As a matter of fact, there is something that I saw a friend of mine with. He bought this this solution that's like he actually puts a mouse on his PlayStation 3, and I'm like, I friggin' wish that thing didn't work. I wish that thing would just flat out not work. I wish everyone would have to play with a controller because I like that feeling of a level playing field. If you knowing the other guy has exactly what I have. The other guy does not have a better graphics card. The other guy does not have a better mouse, a better keyboard, a better whatever, you know? Because like level playing field. But then again, it could be just me being weird and whatnot. And maybe I'm getting old. I think that's one of the other things too. I think I'm getting old for this shit. Either way, those are kind of my thoughts when it comes down to PC versus consoles and whatnot. I'm still going to cover PC gaming for as long as I can. Currently, I'm running a GTX 670 and an AMD processor of 3.5 gigahertz. It's like a quad core. I think it's quad core. It's a quad core Phenom 2 X4970. So as long as that particular hardware can run games, I'm definitely going to be playing some games. But I've been noticing that some of the later games, like for instance, if I wanted to play Battlefield 4 on my computer, good luck. Good luck, son. It's not like I actually own Battlefield 4 because I already know that it's going to run like ass. I mean, Battlefield 3 ran like ass, let's face it. So Battlefield 4 is just like, no way, dude. Unless you like go into really low details. And at that point, why am I not just playing it on the PlayStation 4? Sure, aiming is better with the mouse. But apart from that, I guess you get more players on the PC as well. Not sure. I don't really have the battle. I don't really have Battlefield 4 on either platform, so it's probably not something that I'm going to cover to begin with. But yeah, either way. So now let's talk about why would I pick the PlayStation 4 over the Xbox One. And a big reason, like just the huge, probably one of the biggest reasons why I would do that is PlayStation Plus. Currently, I am heavily invested into PlayStation Plus. So heavy, in fact, that I counted the other day how many titles I actually own on PlayStation Plus. It's like 132, 136, something along those lines. Titles that I own on PlayStation Plus. So if I stop paying for PlayStation Plus, I actually can't play those titles until I resume. But the fact of the matter is, PlayStation Plus just feels to me like in Europe at least, it's been a much superior service to Xbox Live. Because in Europe, Xbox Live is just, I'm sorry, it's a piece of crap. And that's not me saying it. That's me asking people that own Xbox 360s in Europe, and I asked them, so how is Xbox Live any good? And they say it's just for the multiplayer. And sure, the multiplayer, and if you look at Xbox 360 versus PlayStation 3, Xbox 360's multiplayer was leaps and bounds better. And this is coming from someone that hasn't even played it. It is just from my experience that PlayStation 3 multiplayer was not really that amazing. But it worked. It still worked. It was just, I mean, obviously you didn't have a party system, which is really cool, but you're going to have that now on the PlayStation 4, as well as a bunch of other features that, sure, Xbox Live had them better. But PlayStation Plus gives you free. I like how sometimes we say free games. It's not really free games. You're paying like 49 euros or something a month for it. You can say cheap games because it really is cheap. I mean, 49 euros and you get a crap ton of games per year. I mean, it's definitely a worthwhile deal. Anyone will tell you that having PlayStation Plus is a worthwhile deal unless you just have a huge library of games already, which doesn't really happen to be my case. But yeah, PlayStation Plus, probably one of the main reasons why I want to go and get a PlayStation 4. Then you have the fact that the Xbox One was overly focused and is overly focused on cable television. Now, me personally, I don't even watch television because I think television is just chock full of bullshit. Something that I would like to have in Portugal, but we don't have, is Netflix. I would watch Netflix, but we don't have Netflix in Portugal, so I really don't have that choice. So I'm not saying I don't even watch TV like a hipster kind of thing. No, it's like I don't watch TV because most of the TV we get here is garbage. I think most of the TV you get anywhere in the world, I mean, live television, is garbage. Most of it, anyways. That's my opinion. Netflix, however, that's something I would like to have. We also don't have Hulu or any equivalent to Netflix, so it's, yeah. So, again, the fact that the Xbox One is overly focused on cable television is just something I'm not interested in at all. Several of the features that were revealed for the Xbox Live and all that stuff are really only relevant in America. I haven't seen that much stuff revealed that is actually relevant in Europe, which obviously is a big turnoff as well. It's not like, I don't give a damn about your fantasy football leagues or NFL or whatever the crap, really. I don't care. And if PlayStation 4 did the same thing, let's say for soccer, because soccer is a big deal in Europe, if PlayStation 4 was like, oh, we got all this stuff, all these things that you can do with your fantasy soccer, football, whatever league, and I would be like, I don't care about any of that stuff either because I just don't care. And the console, in fact, is going to be in my office. And in my office, I don't even have a TV in my office. I mean, I have a TV, but it doesn't actually it's not live TV. It's a TV that every now and then I'll hook up my PlayStation to it or whatever. Or if a friend comes over, he can hook up his PlayStation to that TV. That is the only reason why I even have a TV. And it's an old ass television. It's even got like a dead pixel bar in there somewhere. And when I say it's like a full vertical line of dead pixels, it's a really old TV. But yeah, that's something that I'm not that interested. Then you go into the fact that Xbox One has inferior hardware specs, and pay attention, this doesn't really matter all that much because Xbox 360 also had inferior hardware specs to the PlayStation 3, and that still put it in a really good place when it comes down to the US market and all that stuff, because in Europe the PlayStation was still pretty damn big last generation as far as I'm aware anyways. But it does have inferior hardware specs. That is a fact. If you guys look up with the whole GDDR5 thing. But to be honest, I'm not exactly sure how the PlayStation 4 is going to work either, because that unified architecture, it's kind of like something that I haven't really delved that much into. So I'm not that familiar with that type of hardware. But it definitely feels a lot less like a PC than an Xbox 360. Because the Xbox 360 is like you got your, does it have an APU? I don't think it has an APU. I think it has a CPU, a GPU, and just regular RAM, whereas this one's like the unified and all that jazz. But the fact of the matter is the PlayStation 4's GDDR5 RAM is just ridiculously faster. Like GDDR5 is a really big deal. A lot of people don't understand, like, oh, so what's the big deal between like DDR3 and GDDR5? It's a really big deal, trust me. I mean, I can't necessarily explain to you guys the intricacies of how the information gets processed. I just know that it's a pretty big leap in performance. But like I said, that doesn't really matter. What really matters is which one's going to have the better games at the end of the day. That is really the only thing that matters, because obviously Xbox 360 kind of dominated a lot in the US market, particularly, not necessarily in Europe, but it dominated quite a bit, simply because of the library of titles it had available to it. Then there's the Knack, which is a technology that I'm not really that interested in. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have enough room in my office to actually have a Knack. That would have to be a living room kind of thing. But again, I guess that's maybe just me not being the target audience. But I am giving you my personal reasons as to why PS4 and not Xbox One. And then there's also the fact that, quite basically, it's not launching in Portugal. I don't know exactly when it's coming. I mean, sure, eventually it will come to Portugal, like sometime 2014. I'm not even sure when, but it's not even launching at the same time as it's launching on other countries. And to be completely honest, it's kind of insulting. And I say this because there's kind of like a feud thing going on. There's always been kind of a feud thing going on between Portugal and Spain. And it's interesting that Microsoft decides, no, we're going to go with Spain, but we're not going to go with Portugal. It's like I can literally drive to Spain and buy an Xbox One and come back. Spain is not that far. Portugal's a really friggin' small country. So Spain is not really that far. So it also tells me that Microsoft isn't really expending that much effort in really, promoting their product in Portugal. Also, I tried contacting Microsoft to see if they're doing some kind of demo or something with the Xbox One. It's not like I'm being all unfair, like, no, I'll watch the PlayStation. I won't. Nobody ever gets back to me from Microsoft, so it's whatever. So yeah, those are the reasons why I'm going with PlayStation as opposed to Xbox One. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you friggin' PlayStation fanboy, whatever. It's like, look, I can't help it if PlayStation is actually more invested in Portugal than Microsoft is. It's like there's more advantages for me to get a PlayStation. Not to mention I also own a PlayStation Vita, which I bought at a discount a long time ago. So having the PlayStation Vita also gives me access to the possibility of second screen experiences and whatever, which I don't really care about second screen experiences. I do care about playing PlayStation 4 games streamed onto my Vita, because that is actually going to get some use. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel on the whole topic of, it's just, this has been something that has been asked to me quite a couple of times, and this is kind of how I feel in regards to the Xbox versus the PlayStation 4, and particularly in Portugal and seriously, even throughout Europe as a whole, I feel that the PlayStation 4 is kind of like a superior product in a lot of ways. And just note, this is me just saying it without even looking at the title, the game's library available, because I know that there's a lot of people that obviously will want to get an Xbox One due to the titles that are available to it. I mean, just look at friggin' Titanfall. Titanfall is amazing. It's probably the one reason why I would ever consider even buying an Xbox One is Titanfall. But since it's also coming to the PC, I guess I don't have to worry about it that much, although I'm not sure my PC is going to be able to run that game, if I'm to be completely honest. I also really liked what I saw of Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct looked like it was fun. Crimson Skies, I'm not the biggest Panzer Dragoon fan, so I don't really care that much about it. Dead Rising, not a huge fan of that franchise either, so I guess I don't care about that either. What other titles does it have? Forza, not a huge fan of Forza. Not a huge fan of realistic car games in general. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite car games of all times is Carmageddon. Another car game that I really like is MotorStorm Apocalypse. So you guys can kind of see where I'm coming from when it goes to racing games. Wipeout, big fan of Wipeout. So again, more reasons to stay with the PlayStation 4. Wipeout, MotorStorm, that stuff. I love the God of War series more than I like the Gears of War series. So that's another thing. I like Uncharted. So when it comes down to exclusives, I also tend to prefer more of what Sony brings to the table. I'm also really interested in checking out Resogun, and I think it comes with, I'm not sure, on the US it came with PlayStation Plus. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case in Portugal as well. We'll have to see. But yeah, those are kind of like a lot of the reasons. It's not like I actually had typed out a whole bunch of stuff in here. I'm just pulling stuff out of my head. But yeah, those are pretty much the reasons why I prefer PlayStation over Xbox. Maybe if I lived in the States and I was into American football or whatever, things would be ridiculously different, which is why I thought it was interesting when Microsoft said, we plan on selling 400 million units. I went and I actually checked when they made this announcement. They made this announcement some time ago. I can't remember when, but I went and I checked, what is the current population of the United States of America? It's like 300 something million. And I'm like, well, I guess you guys are overshooting by about 100 million then. Also, obviously, I can't afford to get 2 consoles at launch. That would just be ridiculous. There's no way. And should I even mention the Wii U? Is that even relevant to this discussion? The only reason why the Wii U is even relevant for me is because it has one of the titles that I love. And you guys don't know, I guess, that I really love this title, but the fact of the matter is there's no platform that I currently own that can actually play that title, and the title is Monster Hunter. I friggin' love Monster Hunter. I think it's an amazing title, and it is not coming to any platform that I can actually record it on. I have Freedom Unite on my Vita. That's about it. I used to have Monster Hunter Tri on my Wii, but I gave my Wii away to a cousin. Because I barely turned it on. Like when I gave my Wii away, I don't think it had been turned on for about 6 months. So, yeah. But again, in regards to the Wii U, that is the only title that I care about. I mean, the rest of the titles are either coming to other consoles or it's just the usual Zelda, Mario, Metroid, same thing, same over. Even though I really like Metroid. Not a huge fan of Mario. I do like Zelda. Zelda and Metroid, pretty cool. But yeah, it's not enough to get me to buy a Wii U. Maybe when its price drops significantly, or maybe when I just have this huge boost in my big YouTube career, which, oh man, making about $600 a month isn't really what I would call a huge career. Either way, now I wanted to get onto some more personal stuff. Something that I have planned in the near future is I plan on starting a Portuguese channel. This is mostly to support some of the publishers that have supported me in Portugal, because it's like these publishers are basically, they never asked me for anything. Bear this in mind. They didn't say, oh man, you should work on a Portuguese type. Nobody's ever asked me for anything. The publishers in Portugal that work with me, well, I'm saying it like there's a ton of them. There's two of them. There's the PlayStation Portugal guys, and there is Echo Play, which are the two publishers that work with me in Portugal and send me titles over so that I can make my first impressions. Those two publishers, they never really asked me for anything. I've just gotten in touch through them through email, and they just started sending me stuff so that I could make my videos, which is something that I'm ridiculously thankful for. But I feel that I should try and support them some more, which is why I'm going to try and do a Portuguese channel. We'll see how many of you guys are actually interested in watching a Portuguese channel. I know that there's some Portuguese-speaking people on my channel, both from Portugal and Brazil. So, and there's also people that speak Portuguese that are abroad, which is actually interesting. But I want to make that particular Portuguese channel and see where that takes me. It might just be a failed experiment. It might be something that a lot of you guys will enjoy. I don't know. It might even be something for some of you guys to basically laugh at, because when you see me talking in Portuguese, you're going to be like, so that's what Portuguese sounds like? That's ridiculous. But yeah, that's something that I want to work on. The reason why I haven't gotten started yet is because I'm working with Polaris to make sure that we sort everything out. Because for those of you who don't know right now, and when you start a new channel on YouTube right now and you do gaming content, it's like instantly like copyright strike heaven. Everybody's going to throw copyright, either content ID matches or flat out copyright strikes. It's like a friggin' barrage of copyright things incoming onto your channel. Some of them legitimate, a lot of them not legitimate, because there's a lot of companies out there that actually claim copyright notices and whatever so they can place ads on your videos, and they're actually not the copyright holders, which is something that YouTube really needs to get a handle on, because YouTube makes it far too easy for people to just take down your content regardless of whether or not they are entitled to do so, which is really, really disappointing, being someone who obviously puts videos on YouTube and seeing these kind of situations happen. Because I have done content, as you guys know, a long time ago for Portugal Gaming. I did content for them, and every time that I would put a video up, content ID notice on this, that, and the other. I mean, I got a friggin' content ID notice on the logo of Remember Me, because I showed the trailer of Remember Me while I was talking about relevant news of Remember Me. Really? Really? That's what this has gone down to? So it's like I can't start posting videos onto a channel until all the partnership stuff is sorted out. So I'm working with Polaris to make that happen. Also, something that I want to start doing a lot less of is reaching out to publishers that are not reliable, because you guys, there's a lot of publishers out there that quite clearly do not understand what YouTube's benefits are. They don't understand that people watch stuff on YouTube probably before they try to watch it anywhere else. And they don't understand how that whole world works. So they're still focused on the whole thing like, oh, you mean someone is recording our video game and they're making money off of it? No, we can't have that. And it's like they're instead of thinking about, like, I don't know, do they actually think like we're making fucking fortunes off of this? Because I mean, really, it's, if you make the proper math, your average YouTuber is going to be about $1.50 per 1,000 views on a video. Okay, this is what your average YouTuber is making, in case some people out there still don't get this. So it's like they look at these videos and like, this person's got like 1,000 views in here. Look at all the money he's making. Yeah, he's not even going to be able to buy a fucking chewing gum with that money. Seriously. So companies really need to wake up. And I am tired of trying to, because you guys don't understand this, but like 30 to 40% of my time is actually spent on Gmail, sending out emails so that people then send me games so that I can do first impressions on them. And it's great when you meet companies that actually want to work with you, like PlayStation Portugal, like Echo Play Portugal, like all the other people out there. Like there's some public relations companies that know what YouTube is all about. They know what they're doing, like Evolve PR, who have been working with me. And they're great. They just basically send me stuff all the time. Like, look, you want to have a look at this? You know, they send me stuff all the time. And there's more. There's developers that know, like, I've recently reviewed, not reviewed, did first impressions videos on Forest from Beta Dwarf, cool guys. And there's a ton more. It's like I can't possibly name all of them by name, but someone definitely deserves a shout out as well. Nipponichi Software America, also really stellar guys over there. And it's just like, it's a pleasure to work with some of these companies, and it's a hassle to try and get anything out of others. Now, I'm not going to name them by names. I think I might have done so in the past throughout some videos or whatever, but I really don't want to start putting names or whatever, trying to burn bridges. Or it's just the thing where I'm getting at is I want to put less focus on reaching out to developers that have proved unreliable, because I spend way too much time on that. Like, you guys hear me all the time saying, I'm too busy, I'm busy doing this, I'm busy. Sometimes I start a video and I'm telling you guys how busy I've been. A lot of times I'm starting a video and I'm telling people how busy I've been, because it's just a fact. I spent a lot of time writing these emails, playing these games. And it's like, I want to show more focus on the publishers that actually show interest in YouTube. And I want to devote more time working with those companies that actually are interested in doing YouTube content and promoting this stuff. And, I want to work more closely with those, and I want to stop at all paying attention to the ones that don't, which is very frustrating for me. But from those publishers, the only things you guys will eventually see are games that I'm interested in. Like, for instance, you guys have seen video of, no, actually, I can't say this. I was about to name names. No, forget about it. But yeah, something else that I also want to do is I want to do some more live streams. I've been doing more live streams. If you guys don't know, my live stream is in every single video that I've ever made. You can click any of them. At the very bottom of the description, there are like links there that take you to Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch page, all that stuff. So on every single video of mine, there is a Twitch link at the very bottom of everything. So that is where my live streams take place. Follow me there. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I always announce on social streams before I go live. So, yeah. Also, something that's going to be happening is on the 22nd of December. It's because in Portuguese we say dezembro. But the 22nd of December, I'm actually gone. I'm going to be going away for some family time. I think last time I took some time away from YouTube, besides going to expos and events and stuff like that. It was probably last December for family time as well. That's probably the only time of the year that I actually take some. No, wait, I lie. I took some time off of YouTube after I got married. But yeah, I'm going to be taking some time away. I'm going to try to work extra hard before I leave so that I can, leave you guys with some content while I'm out. But I'm not going to be around from the 22nd of November to, I think, the 8th of January or something, at which point I will try to rest up as much as I can. But since I'm going to be with my family and my parents are pretty active people, I'm going to imagine that by the time I return, I'm probably going to be more tired than when I left. That is what I anticipate. Anyways, that's really all I wanted to talk to you about on this Conscast. I'm not even sure how long I've been rambling on for. Okay, it's about an hour. It's good. It's good. I think it's good. It's about an hour. Usual timing. As per usual, leave me your comments, feedback, all that kinds of stuff in the comment section below. I'm aware that I didn't do a community topic. That is because I want to rework the whole concept of community topic for Conscast. It's probably going to have to be done through social media. So I'm either going to ask you guys for topics through Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. And the reason is usually, like, it takes me a long time in between Conscasts, as you guys have noticed. I want to do one once per week, and it turns out it's more like once per month, and it's not even that consistent. But what I'm getting at is that I want those topics to be more current, because usually people will tell me a topic that is relevant a month ago, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So obviously it has to be through social streams. I'll try to ask for your opinions on Twitter or whatever for a community topic, and then like a day before I record or whatever, and then I will decide what the community topic will be. But either way, comments, feedback, all that kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.